One of my friends in the public relations world recently contacted me about a wonderful family that operates a pasta production company in Canton. The family runs Mama Mucci's Pasta, an establishment that celebrated its 35th year in operation this past May. My friend arranged for me to get a tour of the facility and learn more about the pasta making process. So I headed out for the business tucked away in an industrial hub near Joy and Haggerty Roads, excited to meet the family and go behind the curtain of their operation. Mama Mucci's Pasta began 35 years ago in the basement of the family's home in Plymouth. Founder Vince Mucci says initially the plan was to open an Italian restaurant in the 80s, but the idea shifted while he took classes at Northwood in Midland. Eventually, the skies cleared and the answer revealed itself to be something the Muccis were quite familiar with thanks to their mother, Tilde Margherita Mucci.
One of the things that she made every Sunday, every holiday, was fresh pasta. Whether it be fresh long pasta or filled pastas like cheese and meat raviolis for the holidays. But every Sunday, she'd wake up early and make the fresh egg pasta. It'd be hanging around the table, our dining room table. The sauce would be simmering. We'd go to church in the morning and come back in the afternoon and have our big Italian meal with our family and our immediate cousins, always 10, 15, 20 people. And she would use the egg pasta, fresh pasta, on Sunday. That's the day that we would eat the real pasta.
Brothers Vince and Frank worked alongside their mother, learning the recipes and techniques Margherita had learned from her mother in previous generations in Italy.
She learned, of course, making pasta by hand from her mother in the hometown of our hometown, Montalonco. So that's been passed down through generations. And the Molise region is very famous for making pasta. There's a lot of other well-known brands, worldwide brands that make pasta in the Abruzzi and Molise region. But of course, at that time, they were making it by hand. So they took simple semolina flour and eggs, and they would mix it by hand and then roll it out with a rolling pin. My mother learned that recipe from her mother, and that's the way she made it when she came to America for us.
Margherita was born in the Molise region of Italy in 1938 and came to America in 1957 when she was 18. Her husband owned Pete's Shoe Repair in Plymouth. The family business launched in 1989, and the Muccis began to roll out their fresh and dry home-style pasta for local businesses. After finalizing their recipe, the family moved into the basement of Campari's in downtown Plymouth for a few years before upgrading to their current facility in Canton in 1995. As Vince and Frank expanded operations over the years, becoming suppliers and retailers for over 200 restaurants and chains across the state, Margherita took on more of a quality check role, overseeing and ensuring everything met the family standard.
Consistency and quality. She was a stickler about that. She towards the end, at the beginning, of course, she was actively involved in the business, actually making product, packaging product, and doing whatever she could. As she got older, she was more of a R&D and tester. She would test. She would go on the line and sample the product and look at it. And if it wasn't right, she would immediately say, "Stop the line. Make sure this is the right thickness. Make sure this ingredient's right. If it's not right, she would really get on you about it." So, quality and consistency is always the key. And making it as close as you can to what your original recipe was or is what she would have always said, and we try to strive by that to this day, live up to that.
2 years after the family business celebrated its 30th anniversary, Margherita Mucci passed in October of 2021 at the age of 83. Her legacy and namesake live on through her family, who decorated the family's original pasta roller machine in the lobby with photos of Margherita and loved ones, now a shrine and testament to a mother's labor of love for her family and traditions. Vince and his daughter Gabriella, who serves as the business development manager, started off the tour with 3 separate production lines, one for frozen pasta, dry pasta, and fresh pasta. Vince explained the differences between extruded pasta, which is more commonly found in stores and retail, and what the Muccis produce, rolled and sheeted egg-based pasta. Vince says most pasta made without egg gets extruded, meaning the dough mixture gets pushed through an auger like a Play-Doh machine and then comes out through a plate that forms its pasta shape. The Mucci's frozen and dry production lines were in operation during my tour, so I got to see the Mucci method at work. The lines utilize multiple rollers to form long, continuous sheets of pasta, which are carried along by conveyor belts. The frozen line was producing stuffed ravioli whose journey along production included being cooked through a boiler, sorted, then sent along through a freeze chamber to finally be sorted into enclosed boxes and tagged for storage and shipping. The dry line started off in a similar manner, with a paler pasta sheet being fed into a machine that cut and pre-portioned the sheets into thinner, long strands for linguine. At the end of this conveyor belt, another steadfast pasta professional collects several approaching racks of long pasta and puts them on a larger rack carrier. Once the racks are full, the worker pushes it into one of several nearby large closet-like dryers where the pasta dries out, later to be bagged and boxed in an attached smaller room. After learning about the production of pasta, I inquired about the family celebrating 35 years in business. This is their first anniversary without the family's matriarch at the helm. So I asked Vince what it feels like to be carrying on her pasta legacy.
First, I have to say that I wish she was here. She'd be very proud, and she'd be saying that she can't believe that her boys have done so well to get over her idea, and that we've gotten as big as we've gotten. She would have always assumed that we were in a small little shop, and she would have been content with that. But we've gotten big and successful, and God's been on our side, and so for that, we're grateful, and she would be grateful if she was here.
After interviewing Vince, I talked about food with Frank, who made several visits throughout the interview to drop off samples of cooked pasta. I could see and taste the difference between Mucci's rolled pasta versus the extruded off-brand. The texture and flavors of the rolled egg based were notable, and I was a big fan of the stuffed ravioli, which was packed with braised beef, mushrooms, and caramelized onions. Before leaving, I spared a few minutes to ask Ella a couple of questions about her role in the family business and what she envisions for the future.
Since I was young, I always wanted to work here and to take over the family business. It's important to me and my family. I mean, the business started before I was even alive, so it's been a major part of my life throughout my upbringing and everything. Pasta, food in general, one of my biggest passions in life. And obviously my family is very important to me, so I'm just excited for the opportunity to be here and to continue the traditions that my grandma started.
During her responses, I noticed Ella glance down a few times at the photo of her grandmother sitting atop the pasta roller. Ella told me that she had moved back home to Metro Detroit to start working for the company in August of 2021. And while she was only able to spend a couple of months with her grandma, she knows it meant the world to her.
I know she was just super thrilled to have me back, not only living here, but working here and just carrying on the tradition. And I know, kind of like my dad said, she'd be very proud of where we are today, and she'd be very happy that I'm here. Family was like the most important thing to her. So her just knowing that we're all here together and carrying on the tradition that she started would mean a lot to her. So yeah, I think she'd be proud and excited and just very, very encouraging and loving, supportive.
As I walked out to my car, I reflected on how impactful this story was and how much I had been moved by it. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the Mucci family, getting to tour and experience their operation while learning about the wonderful woman who inspired it all. One thing that stood out to me was that although Margarita may no longer be with us, it's evident that her memory, love, and legacy live on through her family. For more information about Mama Mucci's pasta or for a full breakdown of my latest foodie adventure, read the story below.